Yay. Okay. Hi, everybody. If you're listening, I can't really tell who's there and who's not, but we'll just assume we have a huge audience of like 2,000 people watching. Um, for those of you just tuning in, welcome back to, I guess this is the second episode show. I never know what the hell to call a Facebook Live. It's not really either, but second live Facebook and Instagram stream of the 1 Year Career Me Wednesday. Today I have a friend of mine, Austin, on the show. We're going to call it a show. And yeah, so if you were here last week, you got to see me chat with Daly about going from a publicist in the food industry to whatever's next for her. Today we're going to do the same with Austin, and yeah, we'll just kick it right off. So hello, Austin. Welcome to the party. Thanks for being here on a Wednesday morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy hump day.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so give us like the mile high perspective. Where are you in your career right now? What's your job title? What's your current situation?
So I'm a project manager at a company called Special Order, and we do a lot of branded content for companies like Kia, Visa, the Red Cross. I'm personally working on a project right now for an organization called the CIO, the Center of Individual Opportunity.
That sounds cool.
And yeah, so pretty much it's a small team of us there. So anything from helping book flights to making sure that the client gets their, rough cut on today, actually.
Ooh, hopefully that's done.
Yeah. So yeah.
There.
What's that?
You recently started there within.
Yeah. So yesterday would have completed week 3 for me. Yeah. So it's relatively new, but it's been good. I've been a freelancer it's a freelance position. And I've been a freelancer for the past almost 3.5 years. So, jumping from job to job has gotten easier and easier each job. There are obviously those pieces of integration that you need to work with as you get into each different company, but a lot of it is also relatively the same. You have to learn different personalities in the office and working relationships and how people communicate, which is often sometimes harder than the actual job.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been great so far.
Nice. And so give us a little bit of background on what you were doing just prior to this. So what was all your freelance work in for the last few years?
Yeah, so I was working in documentary television. So production manager, producer. I just came off of a show for Netflix. It was an eight episode, 1 hour docuseries, and I was a production manager on that. So I was running all of the production teams. Before that, I was on a developing thing for the Weinstein Company, which hindsight is probably a good thing that it kind of went away, but
what are you talking about? Is there some news that I missed?
Perhaps a blessing in disguise. I wasn't working at the Weinstein Company, but I was working at a proprietary production company. So people always love to ask me like, "Oh my God, what was it like?" And I'm like, I'm not even close to being involved. So, but nevertheless, I was an associate producer on that project, and and then before that, I was at Vice, production manager, producer there, working on all their digital content from the LA office. And then also we did five or six multi-episode series for the launch of Viceland. So I got hired at Vice right when they launched their television network, Viceland,
cool.
Which was crazy and also awesome at the same time. So yeah, that's, I've been kind of climbing the ladder from production assistant all the way up to producer and production manager for the last 5.5, 6 years.
So why product management? Why make that shift? Or project? Project or product? I always
project. And it's funny because I made that, first of all, I didn't even understand the distinction between the two up until about 3 months ago. And as I started learning more about it, I wanted to start moving away from the, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. constantly, on the phone or either texting or emailing somebody in Uganda or whomever on a shoot.
As one does.
their ATM card doesn't work, so they can't buy anything, which is like the number one thing you need. So, you know, sometimes that was kind of like adding up, and I was starting to look at new options. Getting married at the end of the year, so you know, the development of family is on the horizon, and I'm starting to project into the future in terms of planning. And that type of lifestyle, I see it in my coworkers, and I see it in my superiors, is a burden. It's real. And you know, I'm not afraid to do the work, but I'm also trying to get a better understanding of how I want to spend my time. You know, and so that's kind of sparked a change in how I was looking at future jobs. And so the job I was on, the Netflix gig I was on before this current role, ended in November. So I was looking for jobs, you know, knowing that it was going to end, and started seeing these project manager roles in, you know, just construction industry, tech, everywhere. Exactly. And I was like, great, this is something that I can, this is a title that I can shoot for, that most of my existing skills already apply to. And it seems like it's a jump. It's not a safe, you know, I would be challenging myself, but I would be also to be able to kind of like take my existing skills with me, and not have to take a cut in salary, not have to take a cut in where I was in the mid-level management.
Right, title wise.
Exactly.
How did you even just like kind of stumble upon product or project management? Where did that come from?
LinkedIn, honestly. Yeah, I love LinkedIn.
God bless you, LinkedIn. You're so good to us.
It really is. It's great because it helps you, because it pulls from your experience, and helps you, and it matches other jobs in Los Angeles that somewhat a kind of match, right? So I was using that a lot, and just reading job descriptions, simply just reading job descriptions, and not even applying. Like, I've been, you know, that was one of the other things. Like, it's fun to just apply to 1,000 jobs, but you know, I started asking myself a lot more, okay, what do I even want that job, or am I just applying because I'm unemployed?
Yeah. Well,
You know?
and that's very tempting, right? Because it feels like you're actually doing something when you're applying for jobs. You're like, I can pat myself on the back today because I applied to 15 jobs. And it's like, yeah, but do you want any of those jobs? That's kind of just a high level form of procrastination,
Yep.
right? You're doing something. I'm really good at procrastinating personally. I'm so that I will just go to the bottom thing on my to-do list and just do that instead of the thing that's at the top, and then I can feel good about myself. But it's still procrastination. LinkedIn worked for you then, because I always tell people, like, just start stalking people on LinkedIn who have cool jobs that you think you'd want. Go to companies' job boards and see what they're posting, see if you fit for any of those. So that's good. So it kind of even just turned you on to a whole new job title that maybe you didn't even realize you were aligned with.
So I am the king of the slow play. And I mean, ask my fiance, like, she, you know, it was over a year from the first time we met to our first date. So, I mean,
you guys just got engaged kind of recently, right?
Well, actually, no, it's been, oh my gosh, it was over a year ago at Christmas. So,
and you've been together a long time before that, right?
Yeah. We've been together. May will be 9 years.
Oh my God, you are the king of slow play.
Yeah. Yep. So, and I mean, when I got the job at Vice, I met with Danielle, the then the head of production there, and I think 7 months went by, and every month or every other month I would just say, Danielle, how you doing? Just saying hello.
So you were kind of waiting that out.
Yeah. Yep. So, you know, that's kind of what I did with LinkedIn as well. You know, I hit up
and we've lost Austin. Oh,
are you still there? Sorry about that. I got a phone call. Oh. I had a phone call. Sorry about that. So with LinkedIn, I would find people who had a mutual connection with me, who I was friends with, but then I was like, oh, this head of marketing at Patagonia, knows a dude that I had a meeting with. So I would reach out, never heard from him. That's okay. And then just kind of like, hey, Bob, whatever. Just wanted to reach out, say hello. Hope you had a good New Year. Let you know that I'm still available and interested in X, Y, and Z. Blah, 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 blah. And then eventually people started hitting me up, like job recruiters, and a woman who represented Rob Deirdrick, and he's got like 7 different companies. So I had a call with her, which was great. So yeah, LinkedIn has provided me the most feedback instead of just blindly applying to jobs on the Hulu database, or do you know what I mean? Or going to Google and looking at like whatever and then just applying. Like reaching out to an actual person with a pulse has been so much more fruitful for me.
Somebody in connection with. I mean, you don't need me today. Like you're doing all the things right, like that you're already supposed to do, which is leveraging LinkedIn, leveraging your connections. I mean, the job search process, and I don't have to tell you because as a freelancer, you've had to do this more than most people, but it sucks. It's arduous. It's time consuming. It's exhausting emotionally. And you're doing it right, like by finding jobs and then seeing who knows somebody there, and then reaching out as a human being, not like too salesy, not, too pushy. I think your patience is probably the best trait that you could have on your side right now. I am the least patient person. So I value those who are far more patient than me, who are willing to like just be slow and steady with it and know that it'll come through. So that's really awesome.
It's tough.
So you just started at this new job then, but
Yep.
Tell me about the near distant future. Obviously you're getting married. You guys, maybe you'll stay in LA, maybe you won't.
Mm-hmm.
So step 1 for you, it sounds like, start to explore this project management like field. What are you setting your sights on basically? What's your big move? What can we work backwards from for the next year?
Yeah, it's a great question. Kyle and I actually had, Kyle is my fiance, and we had this discussion last night about, how we listened to a podcast with Oprah, and we were talking about how can we love our work, right? And how can the work that we do that we love also provide us with the income to live the life that we want, right? So like
small questions that one considers in the evening.
Over dinner. Yeah, we have some that's why we love each other, because we can have these immensely deep conversations about life and whatever, but then just be like, hey, you want some dessert?
Yeah. When am I invite? Charlie and I are coming over.
Would love that. Yeah, we should totally do a dinner night. Absolutely. Tacos Charlie or something.
Doesn't exactly listen to Oprah podcasts with me in the evening.
Well, hey, there's room to grow. There's room to grow.
Hear that?
But yeah, so anyways, that is definitely important for both of us. The big move, or whatever you want to call it, the next big career development would be something that really gets me excited about the final output, right? I love working in a creative capacity, but that only goes so far. So, I like working at special order as of now, because what we can do is, we work for companies or organizations like the Red Cross, and we did I wasn't involved in it, but they just did a video, or they're working on a video now, where you see the development of a drug or prescription, and the travel of it being made in a manufacturing plant all the way to Africa, from the first person perspective. They put like a camera on the box, so you see the doors open. So it gives you the idea of, when you donate to the Red Cross, this is literally the path that your money takes into the drug development, packaging, travel, and then right into the doctor's office and into someone's arm. And it's really cool. Like I like that, because sometimes when you donate, you're like, okay, well, I don't know, is this going into someone's just salary, or is it actually helping someone? So that was meaningful to me, and I didn't even work on it. So that's what attracts me to places like Special Order and things like that. So to continue to do that, for sure, because that's not easy, right? There's so many companies out there that do good work, but don't mean anything to me.
Sure.
And it took me a while to understand that it's okay to be selfish in that regard.
Oh my God,
And
100%.
right, exactly. And it's tough. It's really tough because you need to pay rent,
Yeah.
you know, value in what you,
Which
right.
rent
You know,
is not
and
cheap.
valuing what you work on. I can't pay my landlord with, hey, we did this really cool thing for the Red Cross. He doesn't
My heart
care,
felt really good this week. Can you take some of that joy as payment?
right? It doesn't work.
No.
So continuing to work in towards that, as it is an ever changing landscape, and it's a tough sled, finding that. And I couldn't tell you how many times I've tried to apply to a company like Patagonia, where it seems like what they're doing is just very whole and has a very clear path towards appreciating nature and things that actually matter and matter to me too. So trying to get my foot into places like that,
Okay.
it would definitely be like a longer term place where I can feel like I can, the other thing is like the freelance game is tough.
Yeah, I don't know how people in the entertainment industry do it for so long. It's got to be grueling.
It is. It really is. I want to be able to work at a company that I can really kind of sink my teeth into a position, grow, and then stay around long enough to see the impact.
Right.
Because that's what again, this Oprah podcast, it closed on this idea of everybody's like, everybody wants to see their value in life and know that they matter. And I think at work, it's important to be able to see your own positive impact on a company. It's obviously, when you do something right, like you book the correct hotel on the correct night, like that's a good thing, but that just gets so overlooked because there's a million of other of those remedial tasks that you need to get done in a timely manner that it just goes so unnoticed. It's just part of the job. And I want to take on larger projects, building out a team. I'd love to have, I had a team of 2 people at my last job. I have a team of 0 people. I work
You like building out a team and managing people?
I do. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a lot of fun, but it's also, I went to school for communication, so I understand the value in how to communicate well.
Right.
And some of the superiors I've had in the past don't understand that value.
Most, I think.
Most
people that are managers should never have become managers.
If anybody is looking for an answer to one of the toughest questions in an interview, which is what can you work on more, my favorite answer is communication, because I would love to meet the person who thinks that they can't improve on communicating. It is, it's one of, if not the most difficult thing to do in life as humans, communicating well and speaking, so like that's usually my go-to answer, because like, yeah, I'm good at it. I try to be great at it, but there's always more you can do.
No, you're totally right. Okay, so this is good. So it sounds like you're trying to lead with kind of a purpose-driven career. You want to get in somewhere where you buy what they're selling. You're feeling proud about what you're doing. It's not just booking hotel rooms and hoping that it goes well and making sure ATM cards work for somebody across the world.
Right.
Which is cool, but like, to your point, yeah. Is that something Oprah would be proud of? I don't know. Probably not. Oprah's It's funny. I'll have to show you after this. I'm sitting next to my Oprah portrait from her Time's Up speech from the Golden Globes. Anyway, big fan. You hear that, Charlie? You need to listen to Oprah. So for you, I guess what we could break it down as for your big move, the 3 pieces that I always say for figuring out your small steps are, what do you need to learn? So that's literally, do you just need to learn more about what, project management actually entails? Do you need to get a degree? Do you need to get a certification? Do you need to do something like that to be seen as a professional in the space? Who do you need to connect with? You're already doing this in spades with LinkedIn, but I think reaching out and asking for informational interviews or coffees or just quick calls with people who are doing what you want to be doing, even if it's not what you want to be doing, but they work for some of these companies that you're really fascinated by and impressed with, just getting some inside scoop is super helpful usually. And then the third thing is, what do you need to do? So do you need to build up a portfolio? Do you need to, for you, I think the do piece could be really cool, because you could technically probably volunteer your services to some extent to some organizations that could really use, the skills that you have to offer and the things that are going to be really beneficial to be able to show that you've done, for future job interviews and things like that. So learn, connect, and do. So for learn, I mean, obviously you can get certified, you can get degrees, you can get certificates in project management. Is that something you've considered at all or thinking about doing?
A little bit. I'm more of, because I'm already in the working world. I feel like the amount of time I would spend, like, for example, like I was thinking about taking a class on Basecamp. And then I got a job and we use Basecamp. So now I'm certified you know what I mean? Like the same thing with QuickBooks. Like I'm using QuickBooks now at this job, and you can pay thousands of dollars to go to a class and learn QuickBooks, or you can just work a job that asks you to be good at QuickBooks, and then hopefully they're okay with you learning as you go. And fortunately enough, I'm very lucky. This job, they gave me a login. I can play around, I can ask questions, and it's great. So I have thought about it, but at the same time, every time I think about it, I'm able to kind of like figure out a way to kind of fill the hole, or kind of like, I don't know, check the box, I guess.
Well, and if you're good at self-directed learning, which it sounds like you are, and I think probably the skill set of a project manager and a producer is one that just hits the ground running, I assume, and just has to learn as you go. Otherwise you wouldn't survive or be good at it. So that's awesome. So yeah, obviously there are certifications you can get, but if you're already doing it, you've already got the title, you probably don't necessarily need that. And then the connect, so for any, like Patagonia is a good example. Have you reached out to anybody there that you do have a connection to, or do you have any second degree connections to people in any of these companies?
So I have, and I think I could do a better job though, specifically with reaching out to people without the intent of getting a job, right? Yeah. I would rather, it's easier to do that now that I have a job.
Of course. You seem less needy when you're like, no, I'm good. I just want to chat.
Exactly. Like, I just want to pick your brain, or I just want to talk to you. Right. Exactly. And it's tough. So I think there's opportunity for me to spend a little bit more time talking to people about themselves instead of about something that they can offer me.
That's the smartest thing you can do to get somebody to like you immediately, is just let them talk about themselves.
Dale Carnegie. Yeah.
He's not wrong.
Nope. He's not. He is not. So there's definitely opportunity there. Scheduling more time, scheduling more things like this, and talking to people about just like the different things that go on with finding work and what it means to do meaningful work, and for them and for me too, and for everybody, and hopefully kind of get some answers. One of the things, I did a little retreat a couple weekends ago. It also happened to be a ski weekend, and we talked a little bit about a mentor, and I've been searching for a mentor, and I haven't been asking the universe loudly enough for it. And I haven't, and as a result, I still don't have one. So I'm trying to be a little bit more vocal and a little bit more loud about what I need and what I need within a mentor. So yeah, that's definitely something that I've started to work on in terms of connecting and reaching out.
Yeah, the mentor thing is interesting, because I think a lot of us assume that getting a mentor is this process of asking somebody to be a mentor and then having them turn around and give you advice and good feedback. But I think there's a lot to be said for having mentors that don't even know they're your mentors. I mean, Oprah's a great example, right? I think she probably is everybody on this planet's mentor, and she just doesn't realize it. But you can learn from people from afar, like you're doing with the podcast, and reading people's articles. And, LinkedIn, again, is a great resource for that, because you can follow influencers and people like business influencers, not Instagram influencers, and really learn from them from afar.
Right.
I think reaching out to people who are in companies, whether they have the same job that you're wanting to get or not, kind of doesn't matter, but just reaching out and finding out more about like, what's their makeup, right? Because you assume that a company like Patagonia is going to hire people who are somewhat similar in nature, right? Not necessarily even based on their experience or their skills, but more of a mindset and more of a way of thinking of work. And so you're right on by being like, what drives you? How do you think about careers? How do you think about work? And then start to see if you can not even emulate it, but see if you can find that within yourself so that you're better able to then sell that element of you if given the chance,
Right.
that person.
Yeah. Well, very well said. You're absolutely right. Yeah, because that was one of the things, I forget who I was talking with, but she was saying that, if you look at job descriptions, all of the job descriptions generally have the same requirements, but you can see they're looking for specific personalities,
Yeah.
not talent, but specific, like who you are, not what you can do.
I mean, I wish every company did that and hired based on potential and opportunity. So when I first started at General Assembly now 4 years ago, I interviewed for a sales role, did not get the job. They were like, "You are not a salesperson." And I was like, "I know." I just kind of, was interested in this. But they made up a role for me, and I was the first one to have it. And then they ended up making that role for all the different campuses. But it was because they saw within me the kind of traits that they wanted their employees to have. And so they were like, "We'll just find a spot for you because we know you're going to fit in here. You get it." And I think, bringing this back to like the 1 year career, one of the things I preach to companies is really getting out of this old mindset of how you hire and how you look for employees just based on what they've done. Zappos, I think I read their CEO said he never hires somebody for a role that's had that job multiple times in the past because he wants fresh perspective. He wants an outsider's view. He wants somebody that has other skill sets that they can apply to that kind of role. Because you bring in all these fresh insights and new ways of thinking about things. So I guess while we're waiting on the rest of the world to work that way, you just start going towards the companies that already get it. So somebody wrote a little tip on Instagram. They said, tip to guest, also explore other purpose-driven industries too, beyond NGOs and not-for-profits, example, corporate social responsibility and sustainability. So yeah, I think there's got to be, I'm sure of it, that there's got to be some good lists of companies that are really like walking the walk, talking the talk as it relates to CSR, corporate social responsibility, sustainability, just doing good in the world. So yeah, and it'd be interesting too for you, especially as you guys explore where you actually want to set up home base, once you're married and all that, like finding the remote project management jobs. Because surely with Basecamp and other things like that, like you don't have to be in the same room as what's going on.
Right. And you sent me those questions or general topics that we'd be covering, and one of them was like, what's the end game? And for sure, that's the end game, is reducing the amount of hours that I'm working and being able to do it on my own terms, like from my living room or from a boat or if I happen to be on a boat or from a golf cart,
Yeah,
right.
golf cart.
Yeah. So that's such a good point. Yeah, absolutely. So and it's a process, and it's just,
it never ends. Like this process will go on until we're dead, I'm pretty sure. So, but like, to that point, you may as well enjoy it. Right. And
right.
I think you're lucky in a sense that you've been doing the freelance game for so long that you're probably not as attached to the outcome as people who have one job for years and then move over. Like you've seen that more work will come, right? There's always going to be another job. So you're very lucky in that you probably don't have that barrier that a lot of people have of that fear of something not coming through, which should free you up to be a little more adventurous with like, finding that kind of work that's going to really fulfill you.
The fear is real, for anybody out there who has been in a job for a long time and they haven't made the move. I understand that fear. And that was the largest obstacle that I overcame in 2013, was that fear of, oh my God, like I'm not going to get a job. And the only thing that you can hold on to is your ability to do good work. And no matter what job it is, just have faith in your ability. And that's what ended up getting me through, and in entertainment, 99% of the jobs you get are because of someone you worked with on the last job or the job before that or the job before that.
But that's the same in every industry, FYI. Like your people are who bring you from one thing to the next. So hold them tight, be good to them, do it in return. But yeah, that's a good lesson to learn early on too.
Yep.
The people are who get you jobs.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Well, I mean, I feel like you're on an incredible path already. And, note to the universe, Austin would love a mentor who can get him into one of these amazing companies or just help him kind of hone in on what makes more sense. But I think you're going to be great no matter what. I'm excited to watch what you do, and congrats to you and Kyla on the wedding and all
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, let's stay in touch, and I'll try to give you some updates as time goes.
We should check in.
Yeah, absolutely. And same with you. I'm always interested in the Bailey Hancock adventure.
The Bailey Hancock show of life. I'm also interested in it. I never know what the hell's going to happen next. So.
Yep. Well, that's good. You got to keep them guessing.
Exactly, including myself. Thank you, Austin. Have a great
Of course. Yeah. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, and I don't think we have any questions. So, guys, enjoy the hell out of your Wednesday. Thanks for being here.
Cool.